And we're back. Now, with Liverpool out of action until the end of the international break, this seems like a good chance to stop, take stock, and see how the players are getting on via some player ratings. Now, you can agree with me, you can disagree with me, think I'm talking rubbish. Now, plenty do, but leave your player ratings in the comments below. Let me know what you think. So, without further ado, let's dive in, and let's start with the goalkeepers. And let's start with the best goalkeeper in the world, Alisson Becker. How's he been getting on? Well, apart from the injury, he's been doing really well. More of the same from Alisson Becker. 6 league games, he let 2 goals in. 2 Champions League games, let 1 goal in. You're not going to put like a YouTube highlights clip together of Alisson's spectacular saves this season, because that's not what his game's about. His game is about doing the simple things really well, and it's about concentration, positioning, so he doesn't have to make these spectacular saves. For now, Alisson Becker, I'm going to give him an 8. But if I'm giving him an 8, I think I've got to give his mates 8s as well. So that's Kelleher and Yaros. Both going to be 8s for me. Both have come in whenever they've needed to be and played to a high level. I mean, and what more can you say about a goalkeeper number 2 and number 3? You know, to have 3 goalkeepers who can do that, a club like Liverpool is fantastic. Special mention to Yaros. I've given him 8 there. He's only played like 15 minutes or so. But when he came in against Palace, Liverpool were under the cosh. That's a high-pressure situation for a player who probably didn't think he was going to play any Premier League football this season, let alone that soon ahead with that game against Palace. He came in, kept his head, did exactly what was expected of him. Not spectacular, not on that keeping at that level, you know, couldn't do. But it was more about what was up there, and he did it brilliantly. So, you know, kudos to him. So, yeah, all goalkeepers, I'll have them down as 8 so far there. So let's move on to the defence. And let's start with the captain, Virgil van Dijk. Now, Virgil van Dijk been exceptional all season. Missed 1 match. Well, he was rested for 1 match. That was the West Ham match in the Carabao Cup. Scored a great goal against United. Being a leader, being everything you want Virgil van Dijk to be. Rolls Royce of a footballer. You've seen him play. I've seen him play. What more needs to be said? He's brilliant. So let's give Virgil van Dijk. He's a 10. He's not but a 10. He's fantastic. His mate next to him, Ibrahima Konate. Where is he? Ibrahima. Came on second half against Ipswich in the first game of the season, and since then he's been brilliant, except for one moment, I think it was against Wolves, wasn't it, when we conceded, and he was very much culpable for the goal when he was trying to shepherd the ball and the forward out for the goal kick. It didn't happen. And I think that was hopefully a teachable moment there in concentration. Something that Van Dijk has, something that Alisson has, something that your top level players have, something that Konate doesn't quite have at the moment. But I think he's got a level to go up there. Hopefully he's learned there. I'm going to give him a 9. Let's move on to, say, Kostas Tsimikas. There he is there, Kostas, Greek Scouser. He's done all right. He's been a little bit up and down for Tsimikas. But he has been involved in 7 games, which is pretty good for a kind of squad player. I think he was really poor against West Ham. I think it was. He got subbed against West Ham, and he was pretty terrible there. But he was really good against Milan when he played there. Grabbed an assist there. Even though I think he was culpable for the Milan goal a little bit there. Turned things around, grabbed an assist, and he was also a big part in the Liverpool goal against Crystal Palace at the weekend there. So he can contribute, but obviously he's a little bit unpredictable, Tsimikas, but I'm going to give him a 7. I think he's done all right, Kostas. So his mate at left back, Andy Robbo. It took Robertson a few games, I think, to get into the rhythm this season. He'd had a big injury last season. I don't think he really recaptured the form. It was really difficult for him coming back into the side last season and then going straight into the European Championships. Again, we talk about rhythm. Managers love talking about rhythm of players, and it took him a little bit to get that this season, but he has been very good, I think, since then, in a less kind of bombastic role. It's a bit more reserved for him this season in the setup there, and I think that's shown in the kind of clean sheets that Liverpool have been managed to achieve. So I think Andy Robbo is going to get a 7 for me there. He's done really well, Robbo. I think he's going to show consistency throughout the season. Some people think Robertson's finished. Yeah, all this rubbish on social media. Robbo, vital member of the team. Let's move on to young Connor Bradley. I think he's struggled to get some time so far this season. He's only had one start in the League Cup, and the rest of it has been minutes coming in and replacing Trent. Again, he's another player who could do with a little bit of rhythm with some starts, but when you've got, you know, the best right back in the world ahead of you, it's very difficult to get into the team. But he will get chances this season. He will get moments. So far, though, I'm going to give Connor a 6. Another player who's struggled to get game time there is Joey Gomez. I think he's just got 1 minute of Premier League football this season. 1 star for Liverpool, but he was captain. Now, normally you might be saying like a 5 or whatever there, but he's going to get a plus mark. He's going to be a 6 for me because of his professionalism. Barely played for Liverpool this season. Barely played for England in the summer. Do you hear him moan about it? Do you hear him going on social media moaning about it? Do you see him on the bench throwing hissy fits on the bench? No, he's the consummate professional. And we will, again, like with all these, you know, squad players, we're going to need them at some point this season. He'll get his moments, and you know with Joe Gomez that he's going to be ready. Brilliant. Let's move on to Jarrell Quansah. Obviously, I spoke before about Konate coming in for the second half against Ipswich in the first game. Quansah played the first half. I don't think he was terrible, but, you know, as Arnold pointed out, he wasn't winning the duels. You know, it's all about the duels, isn't it? And he hasn't been seen in the league since. So I think that's got to be mentally tough on a player. But he came back in the League Cup against West Ham and did really well. But he's barely featured, so I'm going to put him as a 5 there. But at some point, Quansah will get his chance there. He's just got to be patient there. So let's see what comes from him. So next up, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent's reinventing himself again in another team, and he's not quite playing the same role as last season, which probably took a lot of effort to learn and adjust to. This season, it's a little bit more fixed. It's less fluid. And I think he's still feeling his way into the new setup. It's definitely making him more defensively stable, but I think he'll be looking for the ways where he can affect the team in a creative way. So he's still feeling his way around there. I'm going to give Trent as a 7.5. There, he's doing really well. There, you get over there, Trent. Right, so let's move on to the midfield. And I think the headline in the midfield is all about this man, Ryan Gravenberch. Now, it's fair to say that he's made the number 6 position his own this season. And, you know, towards the end of the pre-season, the start of this season, everyone was talking about Zubimendi. And, you know, it was disastrous that he chose to stay in Spain and look at mountains instead of come to Liverpool. No one's talking about Zubimendi now. No one's talking about that because Ryan Gravenberch has made such an astonishing start to life in this number 6 position there. No one thought, I don't think he could be as effective as this, and he's been really, really, really good. It's difficult to even think of many times this season when he's like being dispossessed or he's given the ball away. It's happened very, very few times. He's made that a trademark drop of the shoulder and beating players with his body. He's been brilliant. I think he's been the revelation of the season so far has been Ryan Gravenberch. I'm going to give him as number 10. He's not quite at Van Dijk levels of consistency, but he's up there. It's going to be interesting to see what comes next for Gravenberch in these coming games. And he's got Chelsea and we got Arsenal, Leipzig, of course, Bayer Leverkusen, Real Madrid. All these teams come up. Let's see how we do after the next 6, 7, 8 games. I've got a feeling this lad is just going to keep going in this form. He's having the time of his life, and on this form, he's one of the best midfield players in Europe. Now, next to him in midfield is another talented lad, Alexis McAllister. This season so far, he's been effective, but a bit understated, and that's kind of his style, really. I think his ability to get Liverpool controlling the game, that's his massive attribute, and you saw it in the Crystal Palace game. Liverpool very much in control in the first half. McAllister goes off at half time. Obviously, we thought it was because he was on a yellow, but it was because he had a little injury. Second half, Liverpool struggled to effectively control the game, and I think a lot of that was McAllister being missing, the way he kind of just knits the team together. I think it's vital. For me, he's like a bit of a modern day Ronnie Whelan, but he needs to add a few of those Ronnie Whelan goals to his locker as well to take him to the next level. So at the minute, I'm going to give him an 8. So his mate just ahead of him, of course, is Dominic Szoboszlai. Let's look for Dom. Certainly the hairiest player in the Premier League. Definitely the hairiest player in the Liverpool squad. The minute his season has been a little bit up and down so far. He showed some great performances. I mean, I'm talking about the Milan game in particular. I thought he was brilliant. But then you look at his performances against Forest. He wasn't alone against Forest, but his performance against Forest and Wolves, for instance, just weren't there. Because just when you see how good he can be with the Milan game, you think, oh, he should be there, and he's not quite there. And that's been the story of his Liverpool career so far. He is young, so I wouldn't say he's maybe on borrowed time for Liverpool. He's young, but at some point we need to see him, give an 8 out of 10 for 3 or 4 games on the bounce. We need to see that level of consistency. So I'm going to give Dom a 6. And one of the kind of his teammates that's going to be pushing him in that advanced midfield role is going to be Curtis Jones. Curtis, he's only made 6 appearances so far, just 1 start in the league. I thought he was exceptional in the second half against West Ham when he was playing in that advanced midfield position. I think he was really good there. He can press Szoboszlai for that role. He looks better there than he does in the pivots. We haven't seen a lot of him this season, but it looks like Arne Slot is coming round to the fact that he can do a job in the team. I'm going to give Curtis a 6.5. Up next is going to be Harvey Elliott. Poor old Harvey Elliott. Really, really good player. It's just unlucky with the injuries at the wrong time. His timing there is just hasn't been up to it. Harvey, I think we've missed him as well. We miss his energy, but even when he was injured, even when he was fit, he was struggling really to get time on the pitch. He's had just 7 minutes of football this season. Hopefully, he'll be back from this injury soon, and he can challenge for a place in that midfield. I think he can challenge Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones for that advanced, creative midfield position. But at the minute, I'm going to give Harvey a 5. He'll be back though. And then the final midfield player is Wataru Endo. Now, Endo, let's just bring him over here. Where are you, bud? Where are you, kid? There he is, Endo. Endo, now he's struggled to get any game time ahead of Ryan Gravenberch, of course. He's just got 2 minutes in the Premier League this season, I think. But I think he will be needed in the season ahead. A little bit if you want to rotate Gravenberch, but I think his real value is going to come in games where you want to close games out, either coming on for Gravenberch or coming on for the attacking midfield player, having a more of a compact midfield 3 there, seeing those games out and doing the dirty work. His worth will come into fruition at some point this season. He's going to be a valuable player, but at the moment he hasn't really been able to contribute much to the team, apart from against Crystal Palace, that little handball to take the ball out at the Palace end, brilliant. But apart from that, we haven't really seen too much from there. So let's move on to the attackers. And the headline with the attackers is, of course, Luis Diaz. There you go, Diaz. So he started the season in explosive form, of course. And he looks like he might have finally added the missing piece to his game, which is end product. That's the thing we've always wished we could see from Diaz. We've seen the tricks. We've seen that energy. But you just want to see goals and you want to see assists. So far, in 9 games, he's got 5 goals and 1 assist. So you can't really argue with those numbers, really. He's done it so far. Whether he can do it across the whole season is another question there. But you can't ask much more from him. And so it's going to be interesting to see what can happen this season in a more of a stable lineup. And so far, he's done really well. So Diaz, I'm going to give you an 8. So moving to one of his mates, Darwin Núñez. I mean, what can you say about Darwin Núñez? There he is. Let's stick him over there for a minute. Now, the good. Let's try and be positive. He scored that exceptional goal against Brentford at Anfield. Really, really good moment there. Shooting with his weaker foot. I was kind of, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he scores. Brilliant. That's some technique and it's some confidence to do that when things aren't really happening for you. So that was brilliant. That's the good. Also, the good is just before that. I think when he got up in the air and he headed it down to Mo Salah to kind of set himself up there for that goal and that chance. That's also good. Apart from that, it's really hard to think of many exceptional things or even competent things that Núñez has done this season. His hold-up work has got to improve as a number 9. He's missing chances that he should do better with. Is getting caught offside is infuriating for a player at his level. We need to see more. I want him to do better. I want to see more from Núñez. I want him to see him score 20 goals a season. You think he can do it because he's got such talent, but it hasn't quite happened for him. And we haven't seen much from him this season to say he deserves a place in the starting lineup. So I'm afraid Darwin is going to be a number 4. I hope he doesn't come after me with some of those right hooks, those right digs. Right, so let's move on to the player who is holding that number 9 position in the Liverpool team at the moment. It's Diogo Jota. Now, Jota scored early on, but after that, he struggled a few times this season. He's missed a few opportunities that you might expect him to score from. But he has come up with some important goals, again, including the winning against Palace. I'd say Jota needs to improve his all-round play, and I'd also say the experiment with Jota as a 10 against West Ham in the Carabao Cup did not work at all. And Schlotter's hinted that they might try that again to get more goals in the team. I would say don't do that because it was terrible. So Diogo Jota, I'm going to give you 7.5. You can have a 7.5 for that winner against Palace. Let's move on to Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo, 2 goals, 2 assists so far this season. He is in a battle with Luis Diaz for that left wing spot, which seems to be bringing out the best in them both, because it seems like one of them can play really, really well, and I'm thinking, right, well, he's got the share for the next game. Hasn't worked out that way at all. Slot seems to be rotating them, no matter what they're playing like, and it seems to be, I would say that's the wrong way of doing it, but it seems to be keeping them both on the toes there, and they're both done really well. Gakpo, I mean, there's been a few occasions this season when he's looked unstoppable with the ball on the left wing, cutting inside. He's got such, he's kind of elegant. You know, he's got great technique. He was also the best player on the pitch against Milan, I think it was. So he's done really well. He's looking happy. He's looking confident. There's a bit more consistency to engage his game there. I'm going to give Cody Gakpo an 8. And then who have we got left there? We've got Federico Chiesa. Barely featured so far, but he looks like a competition winner who's having the time of his life. He looks like he's won, you know, the chance to train with the Reds, and he's somehow found himself on the bench. He's loving life. He's loving it. That little cameo where we did see him play and he had a couple of shots, it looks like he's got some goals in him. I'd say he's probably not going to play loads this season, but he could come up with some important goals and some important moments, and I think he's going to be a bit of a cult hero. You know, you give him a 5 because he's barely featured, but just because of his smile and his infectious attitude, he's going to go for a 5.5. Why not? Why not? So the last player is Mohamed Salah. Now, with Salah, I mean, sometimes his performances can seem erratic. You know, his decision-making hasn't always been there. In his credit, he does seem to be more willing to find an assist for one of his teammates rather than just going for a goal himself, but he's not always choosing the right pass or the right execution of the pass. I can think of a couple of times, I mean, in particular when poor old Darwin Núñez was in acres of space and Salah's choosing the wrong execution of a pass and not got the ball through to him. He loves those outside of the boot passes. Doesn't always come off. What I would say about Salah, that he's played a part in every single game this season, all 10 of them. He scored 6 goals and registered 5 assists. So you can't really argue with those numbers. I can't really say he's played badly this season because he's come up with the goals, he's come up with the assists, as he inevitably does. He's going to get more. He's going to get a bag full of goals this season, and he's going to get some big important ones. This could be the last season we see Mo Salah in Liverpool's side. I hope it won't. I don't think it will, but it could well be. So let's enjoy it for what it lasts. I think he's going to overtake Billy Liddell's record this season, and he's going to become the 4th highest goal scorer in Liverpool's history. So even though his performances maybe haven't quite been there, his numbers, you can't argue with them. So I'm going to, he was a 7.5. Yeah, I'm going to keep him as a 7.5. No, I'm going to keep him hungry. So in terms of the team and Arne Slot himself, they're going to both get an 8 out of 10 from me too. There's obviously room for improvements, but if you would have thought Liverpool would have been at this point of the season where they are, top of the league, with some of the performances they put in and some of the performances from the individual players that have been put in, I think we'd all snap your hand off there. They've done really well. So what do you think? Do you agree with what I've said? Do you disagree? Well, put your ratings in the comments below, and I'll see you soon with another video. Up the Reds. Here we go.